So okay, so I've kind of got to a point whereby my mind's now clear of what I was being subjected to, which is good. So Chen's removed this effectively etheric wetsuit from the client, so I can now see her properly. And I'm just doing the split now. So if I look inside, I can see there's a whole manner of, again, the way that I see things is the way that I see things, and I can interpret them in certain ways. So I can see almost like lots of different sort of booby traps that have been put into her etheric field. So a bit like we have physically with mines and such like, soldiers walk on mines, they get their feet blown off. There's a whole host now of odd etheric gadgets with wires coming out and all sorts of things that I can see that have been put into her etheric field that are there for me effectively, which is not expected but interesting. So again, I've seen this type of thing before. It's just, and obviously I don't really know what I'm dealing with now, so I've just backed off slightly and said to my guide, you know, this is going to be your area really to clear this. So sometimes I can go in and do things, but other times I'm wary that I've been bitten before.
So again, using an analogy of the soldier, the foot soldier on the battlefield, you're stepping into a minefield, you've identified it, now you step back and now you want the clearance guys to come in and...
Yeah, so I can see that there's a whole load of things that have been...
So you're doing reconnaissance really, but the real fighters are the guides and helpers from the spirit realm.
Yeah, so Chen and his team are the ones that are actually doing their work. So I was just asking him actually whilst we were talking who he has with him now. So he invokes different energies as he needs to, and he's just explaining that for this type of work with this type of problem, the level of negativity has increased rapidly, really. And he's saying there's a lot of ET involvement, which again, from my perception, really, that you've got your kind of like your spiritual level, just these people that are wandering around, are fine. And then you've got low-level negative entities, they're sort of fine as well. And then you've got your sort of mid-level negativity that is intelligent and you can have conversations with, and they tend to know when they're losing and they'll back away quite quickly. So if I've got clients that have got schizophrenia or mental problems, those sorts of things, quite often if I invoke Chen and his team, the level of negativity realises that they're on a loser and they'll happily back away and they'll basically leave the client, which is good. This is obviously slightly different to that, so Chen's just saying that he's invoking his own level of extraterrestrial help, because obviously all things, there's my perception of it, there's positive and negative in everything really.
So everything has its equal?
Everything's balanced, yeah. So it's, as my guide and his team come against different levels, and he explains it to me almost like sort of between 1 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 being, ultimate universal energy, if you like. Level 12 is a level 12 negative energy to me is almost the flea that we talked about earlier, that you can just flick off. And as you start to invoke and come across different levels, as you get past sort of 5 towards 1, you're into quite heavy negativity then.
So where do you estimate we are now?
So we're at kind of level, I was just asking Chen, he said this is like level 4 layer that we've come across.
Okay.
So it's pretty negative really. Which also for me, when we talk about levels or I discuss levels to him, it's an easy way for me to understand where we are with things.
Yes.
And this is, so when I looked at the client initially, I could see these big thick cords connected to the back of her neck, which told me that for that level of control we must be dealing with something quite negative.
Right.
So my guide and his team now have invoked this 2 ET energies basically, and they're busy detaching these cords, and effectively they're wading through this arrangement of etheric booby traps and just pulling them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I can actually see, I'm still seeing the same picture that I saw before. I can see the person that's split in half, 2 halves of her left and right, and I can see all of these booby traps inside with wires coming out of, and all sorts of different apparatus, almost that we would see in the physical world really. And I can see this very positive level of energy is just in the middle, just taking things out and almost throwing them away really.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time that's happening, Chen and his team are basically working through like the outer levels of the client's etheric field and just basically pulling out what he calls sort of fragmentation negativity. So this is, again, I was just asking him to explain it to me actually. So he's saying again, it's almost like an energy of negativity that's been interlaced into her etheric field to try and keep her vibration down.
Mhm.
So the whole key with this really is if you can make someone's vibration slower and more negative, reduce the frequency, then more negativity can attach.
It's like attracts like.
Yeah,
What we call sympathetic resonance of frequency.
Yeah, that would be a good explanation. And also, again, the way I kind of tend to see things is almost like revolving, like a spinning wheel, whereby the slower the wheel spins, the more can jump on.
Yeah.
The faster you spin the wheel, the less can jump on. If they do jump on, they can't stay on for very long. They get thrown off.
So her energy vibration needs to be lifted in order
significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I know from the conversation that you and I have had that she invokes herself in the kind of spiritual arena, really, in terms of meditation and yoga and some of these things, which of course are all good spiritual practices. One of the big problems I find, really, and it's my opinion really, is a lot of people work in the kind of spiritual arena, but it's the whole love and light, everything's great thing. And where I work, everything's not love and light, and it's not great.
So people who use meditation tapes and so on are vulnerable to the possibility of coming under psychic attack.
Hugely vulnerable, yeah, because if their vibration happens to be negative,
yeah,
for whatever reason, they've been through trauma, or
if they're feeling depressed,
yeah,
or
feeling down, or been to hospital, those sorts of things, and they then play a meditation tape and open themselves up. If they haven't done their protection, psychic protection first,
right,
they're effectively in an arena they don't understand, and they've just opened themselves up to connection
okay,
and problems. And again, many of the clients that I've seen over the past, a lot of them are what you would term as good, nice people.
Yeah.
That, you know, that haven't done drugs, haven't done negative things, but they've normally performed spiritual practices unknowingly to them that have left them exposed to connection.
so education is important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like everything, you know. It's like a car mechanic, isn't it? You wouldn't open the bonnet of a car and start playing with it unless you understand how it works and
Right,
what you intend to do with it. And I think
Okay.
lots of people in the spiritual arena tend to do that.
very, very good point, thank you for that. So how's the battle coming on with the patient?